Shalom, brothers and sisters. So I said yesterday we're going to touch on some world news today, and there is a lot going on, and I've just got to shake my head. I should have saved that clown thumbnail picture from yesterday's video for today's video, because it is really clown world, and there's so much crazy going on. It is just insanity, which we would expect from living on the edge of the time of mankind. So starting really quickly, Larry Fink and Andre Hoffman. Now, if you haven't heard of these two characters, they are the new chairman, temporary chairman standing in for the World Economic Forum. And we like to keep our eyes on the WEF, who play a very big role in the shaping of the new world order and what lies ahead. And they have all their secret little meetings and who knows what goes on there. So on the 15th of August, with the completion of the investigation into Klaus Schwab, Klaus is out, and his wife Hilda, they stepped down from their role. And on the same day, the World Economic Forum announced the appointment of Larry Fink. Now, who's the amazing Larry? Larry is the chairman and CEO of BlackRock. Now go check out BlackRock if you have a moment. That in itself is interesting. So as interim chair, co-chairman, alongside Andre Hoffman. Now who is Andre Hoffman? Andre Hoffman, vice chairman of pharmaceutical and diagnostic giant Roche. The appointment takes effect immediately. So you've got someone in control of BlackRock that's now sitting in control of WEF, and you've got someone from a diagnostic and pharmaceutical giant sitting in control of the WEF. It couldn't be more perfect to show you what they truly are and what they truly represent and how evil it is. But interesting. Keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on the WEF. An interesting thing that one of the online family pointed out to me earlier in the year is WEF, if you rearrange the letters, it comes to FEW, few. Very few people will remain by the end of the story. Then the red heifer has been making a lot of news, and I'm only going to touch on this one more time right now. They say that there are some Jewish voices that are embracing what happened. For example, Adam King had a sample of the ashes of the red heifer that was sacrificed sent to him, and he showed the sample off on Tim Pool's podcast. King is claiming, now here's the interesting thing, that people have been sprinkled with the ashes of this red heifer and been healed. Apparently, the recent sacrifice produced 10.5 gallons of red heifer ashes, and samples have been sent all over the world. 10.5 gallons. Interesting. So nobody will ever be able to track all these ashes down. But the interesting thing here for me, and the problem for me personally, is claiming things like they've sprinkled ashes on people and they've been healed. It's unbiblical. That's not what the red heifer's ashes were for, and it's not what they're trying to accomplish now. Healing does not come from sprinkling red heifer ashes on you. It was for cleansing and purification. It was for the priests, and there's a whole layout on exactly what the red heifer's ashes are for. Giving it to sick people to be healed? No. And healing comes from God. And if this healing has taken place from this, I would really frown upon it and say, whose healing or what healing is this actually? This is really interesting. This could be used now by a false Moshiach, false Messiah, to claim miracles and power due to red heifer ashes and things like that. So very careful with all of that. I personally believe they wouldn't have done a practice run and they wouldn't have wasted a heifer. And I think that was the red heifer sacrifice. There are arguments against it, that it wasn't in the right place, or it wasn't this, or it wasn't that. But you know what? They're doing a lot of other things wrong with all these things as well that weren't done correctly from back in the day. So I do believe this was their way of getting those ashes as soon as possible so they can start working on the building of the third temple. Even if it wasn't, it is so exciting because it shows us how late the hour is and the timings that we're living in. Because if they were practicing, if it was a practice run, which I don't believe, then they're getting ready to do the real one very shortly. Again, in our time, in this final generation, right in front of our eyes. It's happening now. All the preparations are in place. There is no more time left, no matter how you look at it. So that's my 10 cents on the current red heifer situation. Then hell has frozen over in the United States. Seriously, that's the headline, and I couldn't agree more because I wouldn't have seen this one coming. Hillary Clinton, the one who you talk about and suddenly die from accidental suicides and getting stabbed in the back 50 times by yourself, that one, Hillary Clinton, says that Trump has been great and would nominate him for the Peace Prize. Hillary. And the kind of dismissiveness that we saw in the first Trump administration has been replaced by a much more obvious working relationship to the good of European security, she says. Transatlantic security and hopefully Ukrainian security. So I am really encouraged, she adds. Elsewhere in the podcast, Hillary comments on Trump's meeting with Putin, saying, honestly, if he could bring about the end to this terrible war, if he could end it without putting Ukraine in a position where it had to concede territory to the aggressor, that's not happening. If he could really stand up to Putin, something we haven't seen, maybe this is the opportunity. If President Trump were the architect of that, I would nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize. Hillary Clinton. Pro-Donald Trump. That is huge, people. This is like if he was a superhero, this would be his villain, his nemesis. And she's sounding very pro-Trump. What was Trump's response when they told him about this? That was very nice. I might have to start liking her again. Crazy times in American politics. That's all I'm going to say, and I'm going to leave it right there. Vegetables up 38.9%, coffee up 25%, electricity prices rising twice as fast as inflation, and all of a sudden, all the cost of living and prices are rising by double-digit percentages all around us. So many people right now feel like they're drowning because no matter how hard they try, there isn't enough money for everything. Unfortunately, we are being warned to brace ourselves for more inflation in the months ahead. Now, people, this is not just America. South Africa, very much so. Very much so. Electricity prices up. Fuel prices up. Everything's prices going up through the roof. Food prices, vegetable prices, education prices, everything through the roof. It's insanity where it's standing. Unlivable for most people. And it's going to get worse as we move forward. And there's a plan with that, because the government will have to bail what's left of society out and say, we will keep you alive. We will look after you. You just need to toe the line. You just need to agree to XYZ. You just need to ensure you stay here. You just need to... New world order coming up really fast. Pray for everyone who's suffering. Pray for everyone who's struggling. It is insanity out there at the moment. We're all feeling it. It's crazy how bad it's getting. But God, all through the Bible, in terrible moments and in terrible situations, and in the beautiful book of Psalms, where they're crying out about the difficult things they're going through, there's always a but God. Inflation is through the roof. Inflation is double digits. Vegetable prices have gone up. Fuel prices have gone up. Food prices, meat. But God. There is always a but God moment in these situations. And our job is to make sure we don't focus on the negative and fear this, but remember we serve a mighty God. And in everything we go through, there is a but God moment. Trust Him. He's had us this far. Is he truly going to let us fall now? No. Greece declares national emergency and begins mass deportations amid influx of illegal immigrants to Crete. Over 7,000 stopped in the last week. The Prime Minister announced they would suspend asylum processing for immigrants arriving by sea from North Africa for 3 months. According to reports, more than 7,000 were detained last week in what the Greek government described as an invasion and a threat to national security. The measure responds to an increase of more than 22,800 immigrants who arrived in Greece so far just in 2025, according to official data. I've said this many times before, I'm saying it again, and I'm going to keep saying it every time I read an article like that to you. Too little, too late. You've allowed the problem in. It was by design. Too little, too late. Great move, great to stop it, but it's already in, and it's going to keep coming. It's really quite sad, but it's all part of the New World Order's plan. Control through chaos. More than 24 people linked to the Epstein scandal have died under mysterious circumstances. But Epstein didn't kill himself. Remember that. Maxwell, 63, serving 20 years for sex trafficking. Epstein himself part of the growing body count in August 2019 when he was found hanged in his New York City jail cell. Epstein's final cellmate, Ephraim Stone Reyes, 51, died of COVID in November 2020, weeks after talking with federal investigators probing the money man's death. Reyes was transferred out of Epstein's cell 1 day before the bigwig's death. 3 of Epstein's outspoken accusers also have perished, probably also suddenly got COVID. You know, there was a time when we joked about it back in the day, 2020 plus. If you died in a shark bite attack in the ocean, they'd probably list it as COVID. If you died in a aeroplane crash, you died of COVID. And it seems that everyone attached to Epstein here might have died of COVID or mysterious situations, all part of the great cover-up of the people in power and what they're truly busy with. And it will stay like that because they don't need that information out while they're trying to set the world up for total control. So again, not surprised. China has developed, and this is sick, the world's first pregnancy humanoid that's capable of giving birth to a live baby. It's a concept that exists in sci-fi, right? But scientists in China have developed the first pregnancy robot capable of carrying a baby to term and giving birth. A prototype expected to be released next year, 2026. The device they envision is not simply an incubator. This is where it gets sick. But a humanoid that can replicate the entire process from conception to delivery. The artificial womb technology is already in the final stage and now needs to be implanted in the robot's abdomen so that a real person and the robot can interact to achieve pregnancy. Many have shown support for the innovation, viewing it as a means to spare women from pregnancy-related suffering. One wrote, many families pay significant expenses for artificial insemination only to fail. The pregnancy robot contributes to society. Scientists have already successfully kept premature lambs alive for weeks using an artificial womb that looks like a plastic bag. Mankind trying to play God and twisting and sickening the entire process into something abhorrent that's going to be rolled out by 2026. This will remove human connection. This will chase us towards that combining of iron and clay, man and machine, to create something new and to get used to the idea of that. They're bringing out movies and TV series. That the latest one that they just launched did a whole intro pitch on someone that's dying, uploading their entire consciousness and brain into a synthetic body and being stronger, faster, and able to live forever. And that is the future they're trying to sell you. You could be a superhero. You could run at incredible speeds like a sports car. You could jump higher than a mountain. You're almost indestructible. Why wouldn't you want to do that and live forever? I'm going to live forever. The glorified body was Jesus Christ, my Lord. There's no way I want any part of this sick and twisted future that they're trying to sell to this generation. The sad thing is, many will go for this. Many will jump at that opportunity. And a further breakdown of what mankind was supposed to be will occur. Implanted device could soon offer long, elusive, and drug-free treatment for rheumatoid arthritis. Now, this sounds great, but there's a reason I'm reading it to you. In late July, the United States Food and Drug Administration approved an implant that uses electrical signals to control inflammation by tapping into the vagus nerve. The move marks the first time an electrical therapy has been approved for the treatment of any autoimmune disease. The discovery was 20 years ago. Now, after decades of deep research, the team of scientists, spearheaded by Tracy, has finalized the set point system, a chip an inch long, surgically implanted into the patient's neck, where it electrically stimulates the vagus nerve 1 minute each day. By stimulating the nerve, they control inflammation at the source, offering a safer, more effective treatment without the need to suppress the immune system. Now again, sounds great. That's awesome, especially for people struggling from that. I think it's great. I do want to point out to you, they're making implants more and more acceptable. They're trying to show you that that is the future. And when they come to you and say, you know what, we've got this final one mark. It can either go in your right hand or your forehead. It controls everything. It monitors your health. It automatically dispenses medicine when your body needs it. It balances all your biochemicals. It stimulates the right nerves. Your autoimmune diseases that they've given you are now in control. All these things are now manageable and controllable, and you'll live a longer, happier life. And you know what? Even your finances are linked to it. Your money, we can track you. No one will be able to kidnap you. It's so much safer. I could sell you the mark of the beast. And that's how they're going to do it. They're just preparing everything leading up to it because they're very much out of time. They don't have a lot of time to get the final pieces in place, and they need to get it in place really, really soon. That's why you're seeing more things about implantables everywhere. Americans will need to get fingerprinted soon to enter most of Europe. Beginning October the 12th, Fall Feasts, Europe will be launching their entry-exit system known as EES. What this means to people holding a US passport is we will now have to get fingerprinted and photographed when entering any European country in the Schengen area. While it sounds very extra, the reason is you're allowed to visit that area for 90 days out of every 180 days. Now they can make sure you're doing that without going through paperwork and passports. You still have to use your paperwork and passports to travel, but now you will be supplying all your biometric data and where you're moving, from where to where, what the patterns are. Everything is being collated, and the data is the most important. When they roll out that final system, they've already got everything they need on you, and they know who you're visiting, they know where you like to go, they know what you like to buy, they know your habits, they know everything. They've got all the data, and that's what they need for a proper control system. So again, all of this is falling into place absolutely beautifully, and it's exciting for me. A lot of people might think, no, it's not exciting, it's terrible. For me, it's exciting because Jesus is coming. He's coming to pick up his bride. He has not destined us for wrath. We are waiting on that trumpet. It's really exciting. People ask me, how's it going in the midst of all the darkness around me? So far, so good. Yeah, Jesus is going to call. And when he calls, I'll be ready to answer at any moment. So far, so good. Major clue has emerged that it's possible there was once life on Mars. It's amazing when they say things like this, because I'm still trying to be convinced of intelligence found on Earth. Kidding. NASA's Curiosity rover has found the largest organic compounds ever seen on the planet. The material found inside I'm always grateful that when we send satellites out, they've got labels with ages on so we don't make fools of ourselves or seem arrogant. But found inside a 3.7 billion year old rock in Yellowknife Bay, which may have once been a habitable freshwater lake. Might have been a swimming pool, but they were still researching. Onboard tests detected molecules suspected to be the remnants of fatty acids, which are produced by living creatures to form cell membranes. Now here's the interesting thing. Researchers stressed that these molecules, though described as organic, could have been formed in chemical reactions that don't involve life. Whoopsie. So is it or isn't it? NASA, pick a moment and decide what you're trying to say. Scientists know that Mars was once a habitable place with blue seas. How do we know it wasn't purple? It's because we're humans and we know everything. We change our mind every few years, but right now we always know everything. So blue seas, gushing rivers. How do we know they weren't wobbling? Clear skies. I would definitely argue with that. Biggest volcano in the solar system happens to be on Mars. So clear skies, not sure. But no slam dunk on Martians have ever been found. Because when they heard humans knew everything about their planet, they packed their bags and left. Because then why stick around? If humans, so far away from Mars, know more about your planet than you do, down to fatty acids and the components of life, that's just embarrassing, dude. Take your spaceships, move somewhere else. So that's the latest from NASA. NASA, who always tells the truth. Yep. Anna Paulina Luna claims lawmakers have evidence of interdimensional beings. So then demons. Rep. Anna Paulina Luna said during a Wednesday podcast episode with Joe Rogan that lawmakers have evidence of interdimensional beings. I think they can actually operate through the time spaces that we currently have, Luna said. And that's not something I came up with on my own. That's based on stuff we've seen. That's based on information we've been told, she added. What really slays me with all this, and yes, they're setting it all up for the great deception post-rapture / harpazo when we're out of here. But what really gets me on this is it would appear that after all these decades of cover-ups from Roswell all the way back in 1948, right through to now, when every administration has said no, everyone's always denied everything, alluded to things, never said anything. Donald Trump comes in for a second term and suddenly absolutely everyone that works there, down to the janitor and the coffee maker, have all seen the documents. The aliens probably served them a cappuccino and all the evidence and know what's going on, but they're not going to release it to the public yet. But they all know it's true. If you've shared it so widely amongst all of them, why not just release it all to the public instantly? Is that not ringing some bells for you? NASA has detected a massive planetary anomaly spreading across the world. New analyses of satellite data confirm a broad region of lower magnetic intensity over the South Atlantic and South America, commonly called the South Atlantic Anomaly, SAA, where claims are uncertain. They're phrased as could or according to, and tied to official or peer-reviewed sources. So this thing is growing out of control, and it's all across the world. It's just spreading. And what does that make me think of instantly is Romans 8 verse 22, when it says that all of creation groans and labors with birth pangs, and they're detecting it and seeing it. But in case We think too much for ourselves. And in case you actually read anything that's not on mainstream media, remember, and this was a big article that just dropped, scientists, the clever ones, those ones, the scientists have explained that doing your own research leads to believing in conspiracies. Whoopsie. They don't say how most of these conspiracies have proven to be true, but they do say, be careful. You've got to listen to mainstream media, and doing your own research leads to believing in conspiracies. Crazy. And then finally, they say again now that they have found the Ark of the Covenant in Mecca. Why it would be there makes no sense. And then from Mecca, the Pope took it, like really from Mecca, and then they moved it to Antarctica, and it's now there, and there's a whole story around it. Now, I know that's rubbish because I have the Ark of the Covenant right here, and it's definitely not in Antarctica. But no, on a serious note, we've covered this. I firmly believe, and there's many points to prove this, that it is in Jerusalem, and it is awaiting the revealing of the rebuilding of the temple. Then they will bring it out, and they will pop it where it needs to be, because it will be part of the end times. But interesting, the story keeps developing the entire time. It's exciting, it's fun, it's crazy. We're redeemed, we're saved by the blood of the Lamb. We have Jesus Christ in our lives. We have the Holy Spirit indwelling us, and we are living at the edge of the time of mankind, a time that prophets and apostles and disciples wish they could have seen with their own eyes. But you were chosen for a time such as this. Always remember that as we share the reason for the hope that is inside us. Shalom.